Hello everyone, good morning. I'm here for the discussion of General Studies test number 4, which covered the major part of agriculture, and I tried to include all the prominent contemporary aspects that are related to agriculture of India, because whether it is the Essential Commodities Amendment or it is the new Farm Bill, all of them have been with their due share of controversies. And it is very likely that these will have their representation in our upcoming main examination. I need to develop a balanced overlook to such type of controversial topics. I cannot be extremely critical to the government policies. However, I can have a balanced purview. I can give pros and cons related to each one of them. As we always do, in the model answer, it is more of the important dimensions that are being focused and it will be mailed to you. You can take reference of these model answer to justify how to build up the content of the different questions asked, and also how the bubble diagrams makes me understand the important dimensions swiftly. So it will be equally important and easy for examiner to comprehend it better, and better the comprehension by examiner, better is the marks that I attain. So without wasting any time, I'm quickly going to the screen share and taking you to what was required to be attempted in the 11 questions that you have taken for your general studies. Our first question read, what are applications of IoT in agriculture in making agriculture smarter? So application of Internet of Things in agriculture, and I need to justify what is the point that it is making agriculture smarter. So smart farming actually denotes specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based agriculture. So you have to be very clear with what is smart relating to. So it is high-tech, effective system of doing agriculture and growing food in sustainable way. It is an application of implementing connected devices and innovative technologies. And when I talk about applications, smart farming, so smart farming is correlated to defined components of sensing technology, software application, telematics and positioning technology, hardware, software system, data analytics, and solution with communication system. Because if you try to take up the references of such type of overlapping constituent, you are in a better position of justifying what are the important factors. I am talking about technologically driven agriculture development. And you need to understand that technologically driven agriculture development will always be justified with smartness. And here the smartness is all about how we are taking the agriculture from the sustainable front and also inclusive front. And after saying so it is smart farming integrated with IoT. And if I just scroll the page next, benefits of adopting Internet of Things in agriculture will be real-time weather conditions prediction, so climate conditions assessment, smart greenhouse, cost-effective and accurate, data analytics, we have taken that earlier also, cloud-based data storage, anything, crop management, land management will be facilitated by it. Agricultural drones, very significant because we know that it can be both ground and aerial to make. If I quote one example, you all are aware of Fasal Bima Yojana. If I take Fasal Bima Yojana as my point of reference, agricultural drone can give me much timely assessment of the loss, and there will be the much easier transit of the compensation to the farmers, and it surely will be minimizing the economic vulnerability. So it is something which is important, and it is also precision farming because intelligent and quick decisions can be taken as you have got reliable data sources. So IoT makes agriculture smarter, and we have concluded it with has helped modern technological solution have bridged gap between production and quality quantity of yield, can help timely assessment of crop damage. I have already talked about it. And seamless end-to-end intelligent operation will increase farmers' income. We all are aware of the fact that government is running ambitious program of doubling, let me write it as complete doubling, farmers' income by 2022. And the kind of weather vagaries that we are experiencing in our country, IoT, smart agriculture, is surely going to give us the benefit. This was our question number 1. I go to question number 2. How far India has served public distribution systems objective? So PDS. I have to start my answer talking about PDS. So why India require PDS? So India reels under complex factors leading to food insecurity and hunger. That is the reason India continues to be at serious level in global hunger index. And many in India is also suffering from hidden hunger, which is chronic micronutrient deficiency. Sufficient introductory reference. Because what type of hunger I'm experiencing in country is ranging from actual food insecurity to the less favorable processing and consumption of imbalanced diet, which is leading to hidden hunger. Once I have given this, then there is a bubble diagram. The 3 pillars of food security identified by FCI along with Food and Agriculture Organization is food availability, use and access. As soon as I take these 3, PDS is aiming at serving all these objectives. We continued with our answer talking about, I want to change the color, working of PDS. The working of PDS involves 4 stakeholders to be very precise. Farmers or producers who are supplying grain to Food Corporation of India, and they are providing up MSP to the farmers. Fair price shops and states. So FCI is allocating grain to state. State is issuing central issue price and it distributes grain to fair price shop, and CIP is what states are getting. It ensures that from farmers the procured grain is allocated to states and states are distributing the grain via the fair price shop network. So here we have talked about hunger and functioning of public distribution system with the networking of fair price shop. The problems with PDS is 3 factors: storage and distributional infrastructure, updation of data system, and interstate coordination. And to enlarge it, we have again used our bubble diagram that we always do. Because in our discussions, in our reference of what was the demand of the question, descriptive write-up makes time-consuming affair. Once you have taken out the dimensions, it becomes easier for you to readily enlarge it as per the demand of the question. So challenges are non-existing duplicate units or families, data sharing with other departments, absence of master data. That is the reason the first question we talked about, iCloud data storage, updation of ration cards, allocation of essential commodity, diversion leakage, and monitoring of offtake. All these are problems. How much I am getting, how much I am distributing, I am not having any of the reference of it. How many people in the country is actually suffering from different types of hunger and how they should be contributed or integrated in the approach of public distribution system is still the problem. And we have concluded our answer on the center's One Nation, One Ration Card aims to resolve all these problems, and it includes biometric or Aadhaar authentication at or on electronic POS devices. Number 2, linking Aadhaar and ration cards. And number 3, interstate coordination, as some states are still following universal PDS and some are following targeted PDS. So if it is targeted, examples we have quoted Haryana, Tamil Nadu as our cases. What you need to understand is that every state has its own provision of public distribution system. Till the coordination is done, we will not be reaching the people. And this is also correlated to migrants, because COVID-19 has actually given us the first-hand experience of the plight and the vulnerability that we relate to the poor quarter of migrant population. It's something that is at very grave level. So interstate coordination, take this point, to be not just related to a coordinated PDS, but also coordinated, like the objective of one nation, one ration card is that I might be holding ration card of state of Tamil Nadu and I'm right there in Haryana, so I'm entitled to getting on the ration. So that makes the things much more easier. Getting on to question number 3. Examine why India needs a sustainable agriculture mission. Why India needs a sustainable agriculture. So we have started our answer saying India has registered tremendous growth in agriculture production in the effect of green revolution leading to food security. However, excessive use of chemical inputs, LMOs with GMOs, have led to range of environmental challenges. So National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture aims at making Indian agriculture inclusive, decentralized, and diversified. And it is thus comprised of. Now you have got constituents that you can easily take up the reference. Organic farming provides multiple benefits. Why India requires sustainable agriculture? Sustainable agriculture have got different dimensions. So why organic farming? Organic farming draws upon local resources, maintains soil fertility, pollution control, biotic manure, climatic sensitive, sufficient dependable quantity produced, high quality products. That is what will make agriculture much more dependable, decentralized, inclusive. The second component is still much more prominent. It is zero budget natural farming. Zero budget natural farming involves 4 wheels. Mulching, seed treatment, vermicompost, and biofertilizer. Jeevam Mitra, Vapasha, Beej Mitra, and soil straw. Zero budget natural farming will be facilitating poorest of the farming population as marginal and small farmers. And it will be with less capital intensive nature and more sustainable. Then comes part C. It is conservation agriculture. Conservation is all inclusive. Conserve biodiversity, must be culturally acceptable in sense that supposedly I take conservation agriculture and I say India must need to modify agriculture from crop only to livestock. I have given you that question also. So supposedly I say it is pig rearing. Of course, pig rearing gives me a favorable economic edge, but will it be culturally acceptable in the major part of our country? No. So conservation agriculture talks about practicality, and that practicality is economically practical, nutritionally practical, safe and healthy. It is incorporating recycling and very important, culturally accepted. So you have to take up these components. And also very important, D. You can count it as D and E. I have integrated that together. Sustainable Agriculture Mission under Krishi Unnati Yojana, based on the observation by ICER, which says that more than 60% of cropped area reels under micronutrient deficiency, thus soil health card. and reels under organic carbon deficiency, does Paramparagat Krishi Vikas, which talks about biotic manure. Because if I talk about organic carbon deficiency, requirement of compensation, I require more mainstreaming of livestock. So why India needs sustainable agriculture? Because India needs decentralized, diversified, inclusive, and of course, dependable agriculture. 5 components that overlaps with it. I have written it as D. You can count Paramparagat Krishi Vikas as E, so automatically 5 points. Question number 4, what are the issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidy? Very important question from the present perspective. So issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidy. We have started our answer saying subsidies form intangible, invisible as income from agriculture is tax-free in India. Whenever I talk about agricultural subsidies, it forms intangible, invisible subsidy because we are not taxing income from agriculture. And agricultural subsidies is 2 types. My question is also saying we have briefly detailed it. Direct subsidies involves rendering cash to the recipient farmers. In India, it is very limited. Like food subsidy, MSP based procurement, but it is limited. Indirect farm subsidy are support provided to farmers as subsidizing fertilizer companies to provide cheap urea to farmers, farm loans, waiver, cheap credit facility, etc. Briefly describing it, we have taken very important factor. When compared, farm subsidies are more beneficial as they provide direct purchasing capacity of farmers, increasing their levels of living, and also provides choice of farmers to invest where they want to. It is actually increasing, if I use the expression here, it is increasing liquidity with farmers. So farmers have got better choice of deciding what exactly is the investment that they want to do and so on and so forth. Indirect subsidies are largely fertilizer subsidy. 2/3 of the total indirect subsidy is fertilizer, and influences big farmers as small farmers are more dependent on cash for their needs. And mind it, small farmers combined with marginal farmers accounts for near 80% of the farming population. So if I just try to compare, how many types of farm subsidies we are providing? Direct, indirect. Which is the dominant one? Indirect. Dominant one, indirect, is not ensuring availability of liquidity at the disposal of farmers. And it is accounting for more than 80% of farming population. So automatically farm subsidy, dominantly indirect subsidy, is not that much benefiting our farming population as we aim to. And this is where we have taken up subsidy types: credit, power, fertilizer, irrigation, water and seed. And what are the policy instruments of the subsidy? So import measures, research and development, input subsidy, export measure, ये सारे input subsidy हैं आपके, and price and income support. This is bigger. I have not detailed it. MSP, minimum export price, market intervention price scheme, buffer stock operation, public distribution. Farm credit in all its need to be ensuring last mile reach to reduce farmers' vulnerability. These are the topics of our general studies that you should be aware of, and I don't believe that you are not aware of. But creating a logical answer is always a challenging task for it. It is always advisable that you are taking up these information snippets, thereby to develop out the answer. If you are writing answer on subsidy types, MSP, MEP are more than sufficient just to mention them. But I might encounter a question which is specifically asking me to talk about buffered stock operation. I have given you that question. Public distribution system, we have already taken up that reference. MSP, farmers have got apprehension that new farm bill will be terminating MSPs. So you can detail them out, but in this particular question, there was no requirement for detailing them. So we have avoided it. I go to question number 5. What are the different types of irrigation and irrigation systems in India? Now, irrigation systems includes tube well, with well, canal, tank. Irrigation systems. Irrigation refers to supplying water to agriculture field as rain supplement. Excellent definition of irrigation. Different types is practiced in India. Surface irrigation includes all these. Includes furrow irrigation, border irrigation, basin irrigation, sprinkler irrigation. Because question is asking to write about irrigation type. Drip irrigation. Drip irrigation can have subsurface characteristics also. And I have written all these systems combined with canal, tube well, tank aims at conservation of water. And what are the measures mobilized for the development of the irrigation systems? And what is the objective that we are taking? Reduce conveyance loss, reduce direct evaporation, enhancing weed control, reduce transpiration, reduce evaporation, and reduce runoff. Because only with these mobilized measures, water use efficiency can be increased. And Jal Shakti Mantralaya, in participation of Ministry of Farmers Welfare and Agriculture, is immensely talking about what? If I just take this as example, per drop more crop, it is actually giving me the reference of increasing water use efficiency. India is reeling under water scarcity. And for country like India, where we have got less than 40% of total cropped area is irrigated, we certainly cannot have affordability to not be efficient in our utility of the irrigation. So rain supplement is irrigation. And why India practice different type of irrigation system? Because Indian agroclimatic conditions. Question number 6. Elaborate on economics of animal rearing. Livestock production ensures nutrient cycling, forage crop, crop residue, livestock. समझ रहे हैं आप? I have produced fodder crop. The residue generated will be utilized as livestock feed. Animal excreta will be utilized as biotic manure. Integrated, changing the color, integrated crop livestock farming facilitates cyclic multiple benefits. If I try to make it much more easier than what it is here, I'll not say it is difficult, but if I try to make it more easier, integrated crop and livestock farming system ensures that waste of one becomes prized input of the other, and waste of other becomes prized input for crop. Animal excreta is excellent source of biotic manure. And then why economics of animal rearing is asked. Why India requires animals mainstreaming? 80% of farming population marginal, 65% cropped area rain-fed, crop failure as a regular phenomena, weather vagaries is increasing, tremendous increase in farm vulnerability are the reasons that justifies the importance of mainstreaming livestock. Livestock can provide range of economic resilience benefits. Low investment and high valued product. Take any example. If I take example of poultry, think about it. Investment, monetary investment is negligible. Value of product, mind it, value in dual terms. Value in dual perspective. Number one, the value of the commodity in market is significantly high, whether it is egg, whether it is flesh, meat that we are generating. And second dimension of value is they have got high nutritional value. That automatically will be abating hunger that prevails in rural India, specifically among the farmers that are of the poorer category, So that makes the things much more relevant. And if I continue, I have included two bubbles. Very important thing. The benefit that I identify with animals is facilitating Sustainable Development Goal 6, Sustainable Development Goal 3, Sustainable Development Goal 1 and Sustainable Development. Zero hunger, clean water, climate action, no poverty. Very important. Economics of animal rearing. It gives me multiple benefits altogether. And then we have concluded, taking reference of, apart from agroclimatic conditions, wide variety of livestock rearing is facilitated, with India having a very favorable or positive status. And to prove a positive status, we have talked about is most important employer in rural India, accounts for some 15% of household income, increasing market of livestock produce due to urbanization, due to cultural mix, due to increased awareness, about food resources. Indian dietary culture have always been vegetarian, and most of the livestock produce, of course, there are milk and etc., but most of the livestock produce is non-veg. It is non-compatible to Indian dietary culture, but urbanization, increasing impact of liberalization and what we call as millennium population. And when we take up the account of the awareness about food, I don't let my religious ideology regulate my dietary culture, because I know that I need to have this amount to minimize the nutrient deficiencies. So that comes up with the reference. And Indian livestock population is on increase. 2019 census proves that there is 5% increase in livestock. All of them, from poultry constituent to buffaloes to goat and camel, all of them have marked up its increase. Only there has been decrease in pig population. If I try to be very brief with my 2019 livestock census. So status is quite favorable. Question number 7. Elaborate on benefits and challenges of new farm bills. Benefits, challenges दोनों बताने हैं. So the new farm bills propose to seek to give the right to enter into contract with agribusiness firm, processors, wholesaler, exporters or large retailers. Farmers, produce, trade and commerce have many positive things. So I have included these positives here. But there are negative aspects also. State to lose out on the mandi fees, commission agents will be losing job and may decline in MSP based procurement, and that is basically the most important challenge why farmers are agitating. Positive factor is there. Whenever the things gets opened up, I get much favorable competitive edge. But practicality has to be judged. Once we have taken this and then we go on to the next, It is farmers' agreement of farm services and price assurance. It incorporates important factors of gain by aggregation, transfer of risk, and farmers to enter contract with large agribusiness, access to modern technology, effective dispute resolution mechanism. But we can easily put on a question mark to it. And why question mark? So these are provisions. Be very clear with each of the provision in the proposed farm bill. Expect that there will be a question surely from this particular topic. And if I continue, the essential commodity. It has removed cereal, pulses, oil seeds, onion, potatoes from the essential commodity. Will be aiming at enhancing stability, competitiveness, investment in infrastructure, and attract private sector. Careful with the points. Essential commodities amendment will increase hoarding and artificial price rise. Trade and commerce to provide written contract, but 82% farmers being small and marginal are unlikely to go to court against the corporate. Freedom of choice of farmers with agricultural marketing being state subject, center has no right to make the laws. So the controversy and opposition is what we have chatted. Why union government need to make up the bill on marketing? Agricultural marketing is state subject as per our constitution. Question number 8. What are the regulators of major cropping patterns in different parts of the country? Regulators. Indian agroclimatic conditions supports multiple cropping. Types of cropping systems is what we have started our answer with. Regulators we have divided into two. Conventional. So physical factors, mountain, plateau, climate, etc. Technical factors, government policy, input availability, tenure, farm size, economic factors, all of them. They are conventional. Contemporary regulators. Macro policies, planning, optimize use of resource, transportation network, food security, environmental conditions, sustainable production. Will I be correct in attempting to cultivate wheat in Kerala? I'll not be, because it is not sustainable. The reforms initiated in context of ongoing agricultural liberalization, globalization will further modify crop composition at both macro and micro level. In a condition where agriculture growth result more from productivity improvement than from area expansion, increasing role of price related incentive plays in crop choice. So these are further adding to the possibilities of new regulators. Globalization as a new regulator, opening up of agriculture as the new farm bills are also suggesting, is surely going to modify the choices of the crops that we will be cultivating. I've tried to cover all the points, and I always advise you have a sincere reading and take out these points, because only with the reference of these points you can make out the answer excellently. Question number 9. How far Indian land reforms have been successful? So I start my answer talking about land reforms in India has been a major part of government policy, land policy, which includes land reform. Phases of land reforms are divided as incipient phase, developmental phase, mature phase, and contemporary phase. And the components for each one of them includes abolishment of intermediaries, tenancy reform, land consolidation, land revenue, land ceiling, and development of corporate farming. So land reforms in chronology of development. And what are the components? And because the question is saying how far it is successful, so we have taken challenge. Political will, economic influence of big farmers, Benami transaction, uncultivable land, poor readdressal of any land related challenges, lack of consolidation planning. Land reforms relates to poverty elimination, conflict management, sustainable economic growth, and environmental management. And in all the cases, there has been part success. I'll be very wrong if I say it is not, because conflict management is still relevant. That is the reason we have left wing extremism. That is the reason we are having tribal conflicts whenever we talk about right to land. And we have concluded saying for inclusive and sustainable growth, success of land reforms have become more mandatory than ever in the earlier. We have been successful. I'll be wrong if I say we have been a failure, but the success is partial. Question number 10, write note on various issues on buffer stock. So issues on buffer stock. Buffer stock represents operational and food security stock. There are two types of buffer stock in the country. It is required because of the existing price volatility, the changes that we take up. Volatility in the price is a very important challenge that goes up with Indian food security. So why do I require buffer stock? Because of the price volatility. And when I talk about price volatility, it is regulated by different factors. So you can take up that into account. And then what is the aim of buffer stock? It aims at stabilizing prices, consistent food supply, positive economic environment in rural area, containing food inflation, and sustaining farmers in agriculture. That I don't want any sort of push factor, that agriculture is not giving me the desired revenue, and it is therefore that I want to leave agriculture or rural area and get on to the functioning of urban areas, because it is going to create pressure on both rural and urban regions. And then we continue and we talk about the reference of problems of buffer stock. Because whenever we take the account of development, there is always the problem that is correlated. So I have listed it in place of bubble diagram. Cost of buying, MSP and buffer stock, government subsidy to farmer, goods cannot be stored like perishable, high administrative cost, minimum prices may require tariff on import, lack of maintenance, and lack of containment. And that is the reason the new farm bills are considered to be actually attempting to correct some of these problems. Of course, whenever the things gets implemented and there is a massive change that we are foreseeing, it becomes too early to predict what will be the outcome. But with the conventional buffer stock and its movement, there has been challenge in India. And we can expect that there will be some modification that will be applied on them. Finally, challenges and prospect of horticulture. Phases of horticulture development in our country are these. And horticulture consists of wide variety of crops, fruits, vegetable, root crops, spices, floriculture, medicinal, aromatic plant. Big. Mission for Integrated Horticulture Development is center-sponsored program. 60:40 for rest of the area, but Himalayan region it is 90:10. Benefits that I get from horticulture is area-specific strategy, improvement in household income, employment generation, technological diffusion, and improvement in nutrition. Mission aims at seed infrastructure, market-linked cold chain, expansion of new orchards, rejuvenation of unproductive orchards, water resource management, and protected cultivation of polyhouse, greenhouse, and shade nets. Main challenge is investment, technology, skill. And that is the reason thematic areas, priority areas, flagship areas of horticulture promotion is breaking yield barrier, enhancing quality, strong scientific policy, financial rewards, and technology for the. If you try to take the content that has been demarcated like this in your answer writing, you are always at upper edge compared to your competitors. Because I have always maintained it, and I'll be repeating it before closing down, that whenever you take into reference the answer writing, and you are making choice of detailing one point versus giving examiner brief account of 4-5 points. It is giving examiner brief account of 4-5 points that will fetch you better marks than detailing one point. Because more you elaborate on dimension, more you are convincing examiner that yes, you are aware of the things. You should follow the dimension creation. That is it from my side. You will be getting the same model answer on your registered mail IDs from our side just in a while from now. Do take reference of it. We are left out with final test, that is test number 5, not on coming Sunday, it is subsequent Sunday, and that will be completing our responsibility towards it. In regards to the evaluation of the answer sheets, I've told you it's a big bulk that I have, and I definitely will require time. Because we need to take up the understanding that if the questions are given to you, if the model answer are provided, and discussion is also there with model answer, more than 90% of responsibility is done. Evaluated answer sheets and returning it back, I'll surely do it, but you have to give me time for that. So don't worry, I'll not keep any of your sheets, I'll surely be returning it back, but I want to do it myself, and that is the reason I'm seeking more time. Bye-bye. See you for your next test discussion.